Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
The year 2020 demarcates the completion of 73rd year of independence, and we at LGD Public School are all set to celebrate 74th Independence Day in our own unique way. Not having any first-hand source to learn about the Independence Day to the children growing up in these times, this day does not wield much meaning and does not make much sense. Hence, having made me the spokesperson, the team of teachers of LJDPS decided to reiterate the stages of freedom fight movement with the drawings of the budding stars occurring back. In 2020, the word freedom is neither a common nor an important part of our lives. But if we go back to 18th century, we Indians were treated equivalent to dogs. Thus, a 15-year-old boy decided to take the burden of changing this plight for us and joined the freedom fight movement as a volunteer. After a failed attempt of assassination of British judge Kingsford, Khudiram was hanged till death at the age of 18 years, 8 months and 11 days. So, this is Khudiram Bose for you, the second youngest freedom fighter of our country. As a result, Bengal became a terror for Britishers, so they decided to divide the Bengali community. During this span, great men and also the unsung heroes of India, Master Das Surya Sen, Prafulla Chandra Ray, Badal Gupta and Dinesh Gupta protested against the atrocities and died. This phase is called Agni Yug of Bengal. Soon, British shifted their capital from Kolkata to Delhi. British began invading India since early 17th century. During that time, India was under the rule of Mughals. Apparently, the East India Company came to India to trade, but they also had other hidden motives. Britishers took the opportunity of increasing conflicts between various monarchical rulers and established their rule and eventually began looting Indian resources under the veil of trade and commerce. Innocent Indians were ignorant about the motives of these white intruders and bore the subjugation without protestations. The first major rebellion against British dominance in India was Sepoy Mutiny, as Britishers brought a novel kind of cartridge to India, which was composed of cows' and pigs' flesh that had to be torn with teeth and put into barrel in order to pose as a threat to unarmed Indians. At the same time, Indians were hired as soldiers in British Army. The composition of the cartridges began hurting the religious sentiments of Indians of both the majority communities of India. Mangal Pandey was at the helm of this rebellion. Though this rebellion terribly failed, but it succeeded in creating new mutineers across India. In Bengal, the seeds of first organized nationalistic revolutionary movement was shown. Vande Mataram was a slogan used to incite nationalistic emotions. Young and educated youths of Bengal participated in protestations seeking only their fundamental right to appear for Indian civil service examinations in British India. During the First World War in 1914, British used Indians in an unjust manner to fight in behalf of them. In 1915, Mahatma Gandhi made his return from South Africa. In 1919, Imperial Legislative Council in Delhi under Sidney Rowlatt passed Rowlatt Act, to tighten its noose on Indians. Following this act, any Indian can be arrested without proper trial, and right to education was also snatched from the Indians. As a result, a new kind of rebellion began across India, Rowlatt Satyagraha. Colonel Dyer imposed prohibition on each and every gathering in Punjab. In fact, 4 people standing together was thought to be a crime. This information wasn't spread thoroughly. A group of silent protesters gathered in Jallianwala Bagh, and many people who were not aware of any such prohibition came to just celebrate Baisakhi. But the British Army, under the command of General Dyer, opened fire on that massive gathering with closed doors of the ground continuously for 10 minutes. The massacre of Jallianwala Bagh is still remembered with sorrow by the natives of Punjab. The entire India was stunned by the cruelty of the Britishers. Condemning the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Rabindranath Tagore rejected his British knighthood. Indian National Congress declared non-cooperation movement following this massacre. As the non-cooperation movement continued, in 1922, enraged populations set into fire the British police station in Chauri Chaura, and 23 Indian chaprasi and thanedars died. After this incident, Mahatma Gandhi put an end to this non-cooperation movement. By 1925, Indians were drenched in the feeling of revenge. The members of Hindustan Republican Association stopped a moving train in Kakori station and looted the Britishers, for they needed money to buy ammunitions. In 1927, Simon Commission was set under the leadership of John Simon in order to amend the Indian Constitution. The Constituent Assembly didn't have a single Indian in the team, so it was welcomed with the slogan, "Go back, Simon." In Lahore, in such a demonstration, Lala Lajpat Rai, who was a very influential figure amongst youths, was protesting, and he was lathi charged. In order to vengeance Lala Lajpat Rai's murder, Yuva Bhagat Singh, helped by Rajguru and Botukeshwar Dutt, bombed Kendriya Vidhan Sabha. Later, Bhagat Singh, keeping his pride of being a freedom fighter intact, surrendered himself to Britishers and was hanged till death. One of the most commendable figures in the freedom struggle was Subhash Chandra Bose. He knew that blood has to be shed to attain freedom. As the rules of war were set by the Britishers for the Second World War, all the members of the Congress resigned from their posts, protesting against British, and Subhash Chandra Bose was arrested at his home. He changed his name and appearance and very cunningly fled to Berlin to seek Hitler's help. But Hitler declined to help. Thereafter he reached Japan, there taking the help of Rash Bihari Boshu and with the help of Japan and taking in custody the Indian prisoners of war, crafted Azad Hind Fauj. The supreme leader declared to his comrades, "Delhi Chalo." In 1943, 30th December, Bose hoisted for the first time tricolor flag of Indian independence in Gymkhana Club of Port Blair. As Japan's role in the World War degraded, the Azad Hind Fauj became weak and collapsed. But the story of these revolutionaries injected patriotism in the veins of Indians, and as a result, freedom was inevitable. As Indians began counting days to celebrate its first Independence Day, Muhammad Ali Jinnah claimed a new country dominated by the religious minority and ruled by Muslims. 14th August 1947 witnessed the birth of new country named Pakistan, and at midnight of 15th August 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of independent India, gave a famous speech which hailed the country's decades long non violent campaign against British rule. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
In respect of the national anthem, I request everyone to stand up and let's sing it with pride and honor. जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Respected Chairman Sir, my dear students, parents and my teachers and staffs. It indeed gives me a great pleasure to greet you all a warm good day on the eve of our 74th independence. So, what is so special about August 15th of every year? This is not a usual day we all wake up and go for our routines. This is the day we take time to remember all the course of struggle our massive group of freedom fighters underwent for us to stay freely today. The air we breathe, this moment gives us happiness because we live our life the way we desire. Had we been in the bondage of the British yet, we would have not been so excited about it. 200 years of bondage is not so easy to imagine, and relieving the same through our thoughts is not going to be real enough. While the British came to our country in the 17th century as traders, they saw India as a ripe opportunity. Never doubt it, we Indians were much stronger in numbers than the British. It was few hundred British who entered India and later managed to rule millions of Indians. Unfortunate that we were lacking high-end technologies that British had that time. This was one reason we are occupied by them for so many years. The revolts and mutinies we Indians paved in front of the British definitely started shaking them slowly. It required lot of troops and unity to make India an independent soil again. Independent India and the Constitution of India came into existence not because of a single combatant but by the struggle of so many fighters who stood beside all the pains they were given. I would fail my speech if I do not name at least a few. Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the backbone for the formulation of Constitution of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, one of the prominent leaders of Congress, Jhansi Ki Rani Lakshmibai, Chandrasekhar Azad, Mangal Pandey, Bhagat Singh and many others who sacrificed their lives to make India free from British at any mean. Apart from this, people took great leaders who led India by all means are Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. While Gandhi rose for India through non-violence, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose called for young warriors to fight for unconditional and complete freedom. Finally, I cannot end my speech before I could give away my thought to all of you. Freedom is something that we experience from within. and we forge for others too. Independent India is now a proud nation with young achievers and profound technologies. Independent India is that proud nation whose frontline soldiers, including doctors, nurses, paramedical staff, are battling against the COVID 19 pandemic, whose countless workers in the essential services are ensuring the country does not come to a complete standstill in this pandemic situation. It is open to all of us to make India a superpower and become the best competent to other nations. That is the day when we stand by the reason for the ruthless agonies our great fighters underwent for us once upon a
रास्ते में चलूंगा ना डर डर के, चाहे मुझे जीना पड़े मार मार के, मंजिल से पहले ना लूंगा कभी दम, आगे ही आगे बढ़ाऊंगा कदम, देने बाय हम नन्ना मुन्ना राय हूँ, डर खाते पाए हूँ, बोलो मेरे संग जय जय जय।
वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् सुजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतलम् शस्यश्यामलं मातरं वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रयोष्णा पुलकितयामिनी फुल्लकुसुमिता द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरवासिनी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्
ऐ वतन मेरे वतन ऐ वतन आबाद रहे तू आबाद रहे तू ऐ वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू ऐ वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू ऐ वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू ऐ वतन मेरे वतन ऐ वतन मेरे वतन ऐ वतन वतन मेरी आबाद रहे तू ऐ वतन वतन मेरी आबाद रहे तू ऐ वतन वतन मेरी आबाद रहे तू मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू ऐ वतन मेरे वतन ऐ वतन मेरे वतन मेरे वतन।
যারা স্বর্গগত তারা এখনো জানে স্বর্গের চেয়ে প্রিয় জন্মভূমি এসো স্বদেশ ব্রতের মহাদ্বীপ কালবি সেই মৃত্যুঞ্জয়ীদের চরণ চুমি যারা জীর্ণ জাতির বুকে জাগালো আশা মৌন মলিন মুখে জাগালো ভাষা যারা জীর্ণ জাতির বুকে জাগালো আশা মৌন মলিন মুখে জাগালো ভাষা আজ রক্তকমলে গাথা আজ রক্তকমলে গাথা মাল্যখানি বিজয় লক্ষ্মী দেবে তাদেরই গলে মুক্তির মন্দির সোপানো তলে কত প্রাণ হলো বলিদান জলে জন্মভূমি মা ভারতবাসীর মন মন্দিরে তোমারই প্রতিমা স্বর্গাদপি গরিয়সী জন্মভূমি মা ভারতবাসীর মন মন্দিরে তোমারই প্রতিমা বুকের রক্তে মরা নদী টুকুল ছাপিয়ে ওঠে যদি মন্ত্র শিখেছি চড়ুই বেটি করেছি মৃত্যুবন বুকের রক্তে মরা নদী টুকুল ছাপিয়ে ওঠে যদি মন্ত্র শিখেছি চড়ুই বেটি করেছি মৃত্যুবন বন্দে মাতরম বন্দে মাতরম তিরঙ্গা পতাকা ওড়ে নিশান বাতাসে বাতাসে বাজে নিশান কণ্ঠে এগিয়ে যাবার গান করেছি উচ্চারণ বন্দে মাতরম বন্দে মাতরম বন্দে মাতরম বন্দে মাতরম
India, with its unfaltering determination and energy, now fights for independence from another enemy, the pandemic, the current COVID situation. Like our oppressors, COVID 19 has given us deaths, unemployments, and a dip in our development. Though we were striked hard, we refused to give up. Like all the freedom fighters who led their lives and struggled tirelessly for freedom, our doctors, health workers, and the entire nation is fighting this pandemic. And on this auspicious day, as Indians, we pledge to eradicate this deadly enemy and rise to new heights.
If I